Hey YouTubers, welcome back to another episode of What the Fish. Today, I'm going to give you a tip on how I instant cycle my aquariums. Stay tuned. So, today we're talking about a topic that can be kind of controversial. Um, this is a tank I'm setting up for some shrimp I'm getting the end of this week. Now, if you know anything about shrimp, you know they don't produce a whole lot of bioload, but um, they tend to eat biofilm, so you kind of need it to grow. So, in the past, what I have done, and I call it my instant cycle method, um, is I've always had a lot of tanks where at very minimum one saltwater, one freshwater going. So what I do, you can see in the back there, sorry about the glare, maybe if I get a little closer, you can see I have the two prong sponge filter back there, and a catapa leaf. So what I do to sort of instant cycle my tank is I will take, in this case you can see the sponge on the left is a brand new sponge. The sponge on the right is actually a sponge out of one of my other guppy slash shrimp tanks that I switched out, and I took a new one and put it in its place, and I took the used one and put it into this tank. So that kind of jump starts the nitrification cycle. So it's kind of like an instant cycle. Now, this doesn't mean try this and then go out and put 100 fish in a 10-gallon tank and you'll be fine. No, not by any means. What it does mean is it puts a colony of the nitrifying bacteria that you're going to need to get your cycle going into the tank. So one of the keys that I also do, and you'll notice if you look at the decorations in here, like for example this little castle right here, I took it out of another tank and you can see it has a little bit of algae already growing on it. These plants are cuttings from another tank that I had actually stuck in blocks of rock wool in the bottom of the tank, and I cut off a piece of the plant and a piece of the rock wool. The rock wool actually also holds the bacteria in it. This substrate, also from another tank, contains bacteria already growing in it. So it's sort of an instant cycle. Here's the caveat. So when you take, say, that filter, and it comes from a tank with 100 fish, 200 shrimp, snails, you name it, a whole lot of everything in that tank. And then you put it into this new tank where it doesn't have the bioload, the bacteria colony on it will begin to die off. So, as I said, the shrimp I'm waiting for, they won't be here until the end of the week. And I don't want that bacteria to die. So what I'm actually doing to sort of make sure the bacteria continues to work and continues to have, the nutrients it needs to survive, is I am ghost feeding the tank. So basically what I'm doing is I took, for my shrimp I use Bacter AE. So I took a little bit of the leftover mix, because I mix the Bacter AE into tank water before I dump it in to make it kind of like a cloudy slurry. So I put a little bit of that in here, and then like I said, the plants, which are also coated with bacteria, the good kind, and then ghost feeding to give that bacteria the food it needs to continue to thrive. Also, you can see I have the plants in here. They need something to thrive as well. So I also put in some fertilizer today. Now I am waiting just until tomorrow, until the temperature comes up a little bit, because the water that I had sitting was actually a little bit colder than I like. So I'm waiting for the temperature to come up, and then I am going to take just one guppy and throw him in here. That'll force me to throw some flake food in here also, and keep that bacteria colony going. Now the shrimp, they're not a very high bioload, and I'm not throwing 100 of them in here to get started. I'm just throwing, you know, a few, maybe 20 or so in here just to get started. And then depending on what I see from the guppy, he may just continue to live his life out in this tank, or I may pull him out, because the plan for this is a planted species only tank of shrimp, with the main focus being on the plants and the shrimp. So like I said, if I see that he's behaving himself, and you know, once the shrimp are, you know, mature and start having babies, and I don't see him picking them off, or you know, I don't see the numbers growing just at a super slow rate, or anything that could kind of point out that you know, he's being a little more predatory than I would like, he will stay in here. But you see, I also added some micro sword, some Java fern, or I'm sorry, Java moss, and there's a little piece of subwasser tang up there. I have had zero luck with subwasser tang. I am just finding out now that it is more of a soft water plant, which could very well be why, because the shrimp I have now and the ones I'm getting are neo-caridina, which is more of a hard water shrimp, as opposed to like a Taiwan bee or crystal, maybe it's crystal reds, or the caridina species that are more soft water shrimp. So if you want to do an instant cycle, this is my suggestion. Take some plants, take some substrate, take some decorations, some filter media. That leaf in the back actually came out of another tank too. I let it sit in there for a couple of days, sort of floating on the top, on top of the duckweed, to kind of, you know, let it get some bacteria on it too. And then follow that up with putting fish in within a day, I would say, because like I said, the bacteria colonizes based on the tank's stocking. So essentially every time you add to your tank, it sort of recycles. Now again, there's, you know, some caveat to that too, the fact being, when you have plants, the plants at times will take up the ammonia before it even goes through the cycle, but certain plants will take it from the end of the cycle and take it when it becomes nitrates. So that's my suggestion if you're looking to instant cycle your tank, is use things from another established aquarium and then go in with fish to support what you're putting in there right away. Otherwise, what's going to happen is all that good bacteria you put in there is just going to die off, and you're essentially going to have to recycle your tank anyway. If anyone has a better way or a more effective way, or even, they don't think that this way works, by all means, shoot me a comment, and I'd be happy to discuss it with you. Thanks, everybody, and have a nice night.